Good morning, everyone, and welcome to month 7. It has been 7 months since I started hormone replacement therapy, and there's been so much, obviously. Before we get started on today's video, I want to thank everyone who watched my 30 years of dysphoria video. That was obviously very difficult to make, and yeah, there's just been such a great response to it. I may do some more scripted videos in the future about things like sort of navigating healthcare and things as a foreigner living in Southeast Asia and issues like that if people are interested or just if I think it's useful. Today, though, I want to talk about 3 things. One, we're going to talk about hair, which I know I've talked about before, but there are reasons. So we're going to talk about hair, going to talk about muscle loss, and the last thing is just going to be patience. So first of all, hair, obviously. Right, and I've talked about this before in a couple of different ways. Specifically, talked about body hair, right? How that's gotten softer, it's growing more slowly. And that's pretty much continued, right? Like, there's nothing on my arms anymore. I've had laser done on my legs, and it's been like 3 weeks, and there's still almost nothing. And that's just one session. So, but the more important thing that I want to talk about today is this hair. So, as a lot of people already know, and I'm sure other people have mentioned, when you start losing hair, the follicle doesn't die right away, right? So if you are at a point where your hair has been thinning or you've lost some hair and it's only been like 12 months, there's a really good chance that just going on HRT will enable that hair to grow back, which is nice. And I will say that I've noticed that the hair on my head is thicker, like where it actually is grown, right? Like there's just more of it there, which is also nice. Almost everything else, I think, is more a result of just better hair care, right? I'm shampooing it and conditioning it more regularly. I'm actually I need a haircut actually. These ends are. But I've been getting it trimmed more regularly. I've just been taking better care of it, and I think, if we compare it to the really early videos, it's looking a lot better. It feels softer. It feels healthier, and that's all great. It's all very nice. However, one thing I brought up very early that honestly even bothered me before I thought about transitioning was the hair loss on the side of my head. Now, in the past few videos, I've been parting my hair in the center. I have been covering it. And what I finally did last week, the reason this is a little bit late, is I did get a hair transplant. All right, so this is just 1 week in, a little bit of growth. And there's a very good chance that that hair will fall out and then have to be replaced later. So we're really looking at probably a number of months before there's any real difference or real noticeable difference in hair volume or anything like that. And that's something where so much of this depends on where you are, right? When you lost your hair, all that sort of thing, right? This is something I had to do a lot of research into to determine what I wanted to try to do. But because, right, that hair loss happened probably 15, 16 years ago, basically everybody was like, no, they're gone. Like, there is no chance using finasteride or any other kind of medication, that hair is not coming back. So I did get a transplant here in Vietnam. And they were extremely accommodating, lovely people, very easy to work with, still quite expensive, but not nearly as expensive as if I had to fly to Turkey or if I had needed to get it in the US. So that's been nice. Obviously, we'll see in months to come whether or not that actually. We'll see how good it was. The second thing I want to talk about today is muscle loss. Now, this is a really common side effect of going on testosterone blockers is you lose muscle mass. Now, something I think I have alluded to, but haven't talked about directly is I go rock climbing at a climbing gym here, usually about 3 days per week. And that has been an amazing way to get in shape. And since I started hormone therapy, it's been a really good way to stay in shape and to minimize some of that loss. And I, over the past few months, I've had a couple of injuries. I injured my ankle, and I was getting weaker, but not in a particularly impactful way, right? Like I was no longer improving. You know, I'm now 46, not 45. So at my age, it's already going to be difficult. But yeah, it was pretty stable. Now, when I got the hair transplant, this is just a bit over a week now, actually like almost 2. Obviously, I couldn't climb for about a week because I needed to allow the implants to heal and all that sort of thing. And so I went climbing the day before yesterday for the first time in about a week and a half. And now, if you know anything about climbing, right, the simple version is, right, there are grades of difficulty for different kinds of climbs. Now, I peaked out around climbing V5 boulders. Not amazing, but given my age and that I'm a teacher and a writer and not terribly physically active, I was pretty happy about that. And normally what I would do is I would do all of like the lower levels, the V0s through V2s, in the gym, sort of up and down just to warm up. So 2 days ago, what used to be my warm-up became my workout. And I have now been sore for the past day and a half from something that used to be like absolutely easy. And the really funny thing is I did this about 2 weeks ago with almost no problem, right? Right before I went in for the hair transplant. And so just that short break, that like 9 days or so, I lost so much strength. And there hasn't been any kind of like loss that rapid in the 7 months that I've done it. So I don't know if anyone has had similar experiences where for a long time it didn't seem like I had much muscle loss at all. A bit? No, not a lot. And then all at once, it's just my whole upper body is gone, which expected, but still the onset of it was a bit of a surprise. Yeah. So the last thing I do want to mention today is that I think the hardest thing at this point is simply patience, right? And many other like trans creators that I've followed have said similar things. We reach a sort of point where there isn't a lot new to talk about, right? Almost everything that I've mentioned in previous videos, they're either staying the same or they're progressing, right? Like my body shape is still changing very slowly, right? There are changes to my body hair very slowly. There are changes to the shape of my face, minor and slow, but it is happening. And so you kind of reach this point where, and I feel like I've very much reached this point where all of like the new big, like, wow things have happened. And now all of them are going to continue. And I just need to be patient. I need to be patient with my skin. I need to be patient with, progression of laser hair removal. I need to be patient with my new hair growing in. And it's obviously a lot easier when everything is simply new and exciting and there are just new things to do all the time rather than, yep, just another month of waiting. So I'm not sure. I may, with like future updates, try to focus on specific things as I did here, simply because I don't think there's going to be anything like crazy new that I haven't already talked about in some way or another. Um, at least not as a like not physical changes. I don't think from HRT. That's just going to be the same stuff, slowly continuing, um, and going from there. So I may try to focus more on like more social changes or things like that. Um, I'm I still am not presenting feminine when I go to work. Um, that's a whole can of worms I'll be dealing with later. They all know everybody's very supportive, but there's a big difference between my coworkers all being very accepting and standing in front of a classroom of high schoolers um, and having the confidence to do that. That's that might actually be the end boss, honestly, more than anything else. So, so I'll leave it there for today. Once again, thank you to everyone who watched and commented on the 30 years video. I really appreciate that. That is, I'm very happy to have that done. And yeah, I hope to have more things in the future. And thank you for coming with me on this journey. Take care, everyone.